In this chapter, we will study the monetary system and we begin to examine the role of money in the economy. We discuss what money is and the various forms that money takes and how the banking system helps create money and how the government controls the quantity of money in circulation. Because money is important in the economy, we devote much effort in the lessons to learn how changes in quantity of money affect various economic variables, including inflation, interest rates, production, and employment. And we are going to understand in the following chapter the role of the money in the long run and the long run effects of changes in the quantity of money on various variables like inflation, interest rate, and other macro variables. So the first thing is let's understand what is money and what is monetary system. So first, let's start with the definition of money. This question may seem like an odd question because everybody knows what's a money, but we will define money maybe in a more specific sense. Money is the set of assets in the economy that people regularly use to buy goods and services from each other. So the cash in your wallet is money because you can use it to buy a meal at a restaurant or a shirt at a store. By contrast, if you happen to own a large share of Microsoft Corporation, as like Bill Gates does, you would be wealthy, but this asset is not considered a form of money. So you cannot buy a T-shirt or meal with this wealth without first obtaining some cash. Okay. So according to economist definition, money includes only those 5 types of wealth that are regularly accepted by sellers in exchange for goods and services. Let's think for a second economy without money. If there is no money, trade or exchange of goods and services would require barter. What is barter? You exchange, if you want to buy, for instance, one loaf of bread, you need to exchange that loaf of bread with some goods or services that the seller wants to exchange, accept or ready to exchange for the loaf of bread. So as you see, barter is kind of tough because every transaction in a barter would require a double coincidence of wants. So it is usually unlikely that two people, there are two people, each of them have a good that the other wants. And this requires a lot of searching time for others to trade with, which is a huge waste of resources. But this searching is unnecessary with money because money, the set of assets that people regularly use to buy goods and services from other people. Seller will accept money because seller knows that that money, that paper, the green paper, can be used to purchase the goods and services he wants for future. So there are 3 functions of money. It is the medium of exchange, unit of account, and a store of value. These 3 functions together distinguish money from other assets. Okay, that is important because when you think that whether an asset is a money or not, you should think that these 3 functions should be fulfilled such that this asset is considered as money. The first one is a medium of exchange. What is medium of exchange? Money is an item that buyers give to sellers when they want to purchase goods and services. So, for example, when you go to a store to buy a shirt, the store gives you the shirt and you give the store your money is because the money is medium of exchange. So the store accepts it, and because store knows that it can use it for other purposes to buy other goods and services. So this transfer of money from buyer to seller allows the transaction to take place. When you walk into a store, you are confident that the store will accept your money for the items it's selling because money is the commonly accepted medium of exchange. The second function of money is unit of account. So money is the yardstick people use to post prices and record debts. What does that mean? It's a measure of value. For instance, when you go to shopping, you might observe that a shirt costs $30 and a hamburger costs $3. So these dollar amounts show the value of the hamburger to the buyers and value of shirt to the buyers. Even though it would be accurate to say that the price of a shirt is 10 hamburgers or the price of the hamburger is 1/10 of a shirt, this is kind of complicated to express the price of a good in terms of other good. So as you see, the money helps to measure the value of each good to the buyer and also to the seller too. And the last one, money is a store of value. So money is an item that people can use to transfer purchasing power from the present to the future. When a seller accepts money today in exchange for a good or service, that seller can hold the money and become a buyer of another good or services at another time. As you see, the money in your wallet, you can use it today or maybe 2 weeks ahead from now on, or in 6 months, and still it has a value. Okay, so it's a store of value. So I want to mention one important thing here is the liquidity term. Maybe you hear on the news liquidity. What is liquidity? It is used to describe the ease with which an asset can be converted into economy's medium of exchange. Okay. And as you realize that money, the cash money, is the most liquid asset because it's the medium of exchange. It is the most liquid asset available. Other assets are widely in their liquidity. So most stocks and bonds can be sold easily with small costs, so they are relatively liquid assets. But think of a house, selling a house. So it may require some time and effort, so these assets are less liquid. So when we say money is liquid, that means you can use that asset easily to buy goods and services, okay? You don't need time or effort to turn into something more liquid asset to make this transaction happen. So in the economy, we have two kinds of money. The first one is the commodity money, and commodity money has intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? It means that the item would have value even if it were not used as money. One example of commodity money is gold. So think about gold. Whether you use gold as money or not, it has a value. It doesn't have a value because it's used as a money. So gold has intrinsic value because it's used in industry and in the making of jewelry. Although today we no longer use gold as money, historically gold was a common form of money because it is relatively easy to carry, measure, and verify for impurities. And another example is the cigarettes in prisoners of war camps during World War II. Prisoners traded goods and services with one another using cigarettes as a store of value, unit of account, and medium of exchange. Whether someone is smoker or non-smoker, that person is okay to exchange cigarettes because he knows that he could use the cigarettes to buy other goods and services. The second type of money is fiat money. A fiat is an order or decree, and fiat money is established as money by government decree. For example, compare the paper dollars in your wallet printed by US government and the paper dollars from a game of Monopoly. So as you realize, paper dollars from Monopoly, the game, doesn't have any value because it doesn't have the decree, government decree, okay? So it is important that papers has a value. The green papers, dollars, has a value because United States government has decreed its dollars to be valid money. Okay, each paper dollar in your wallet reads the note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Okay, that's the difference between commodity money and fiat money. And the last thing in this chapter last thing in this part, we are going to talk about the money supply. As you remember, when you say supply is the total amount of goods the goods that are produced in the economy. And here we don't have good, but we have as a good money. and the money supply implies a total production of money. So, as we will see, the quantity of money circulating in the economy we will call as money stock and has a powerful influence on many economic variables. But before we consider why that is true, we need to ask ourselves a preliminary question: what is the quantity of money, okay, in the economy? Or what is the supply of money, money stock? The most obvious one is the currency, the paper bills and coins in the hands of the public. Currency is clearly the most widely accepted medium of exchange in our economy. There is no doubt that it's part of our money stocks. But yeah, currency is not the only asset that you can use to buy goods and services. Many stores also accept personal checks. So the amount of money you carry in your wallet is as convenient for buying things as the amount of money in your checking account. To measure the money stock, therefore, you might want to include demand deposit, balances in the accounts that depositors can access on demand simply by writing a check or swiping a debit credit card at a store. Debit card, not credit card. So once you start considering balances in checking accounts as part of the money stock, you're led to consider the large variety of other accounts that people hold at banks and other financial institutions. You may think that given these checking accounts are money, saving accounts are also money, because saving accounts you cannot maybe write a check for saving accounts, but you can easily transfer money from saving accounts to the checking accounts and you can easily spend it. And also money market mutual funds you can write a check against these balances. So in a complex economy such as the United States, it's not easy to draw a line between assets that can be called money and assets that cannot. The coins in your pocket clearly are part of the money stock and the Empire State Building clearly is not. But there are many assets in between these extremes for which the choice is less clear. Because different analysts can reasonably disagree about where to draw the dividing line between monetary and non-monetary assets, various measures of the money stock are available for the US economy. And we will start with the one that is M1. The most commonly used ones are M1 and M2. M1 composed of currency, demand deposits, traveler's check, and other checkable deposits. And M2 includes more assets in the measure of money stock, including everything in M1 plus savings, deposits, small-time deposits, money market mutual funds, and a few minor categories. When you look at the United States money stock for M1 and M2 on the next, it's not given in the graph, but I can show you the total amount of M1 in the economy. If we put a bar chart, it's going to be 2.4 billion for M1 and M2 will be around 10.4 billion M2. So you realize that the amount of M2 is much larger than the M1. M2 includes M1, but the amount of money that is the supply, the money stock in the economy, not only cash and currency and checking accounts, but also there are money and saving accounts, mutual funds, and other small accounts that may consider is in M2. And one important thing here in this chapter, we are not going to differentiate between the various measures of money. None of our discussions will hinge on the distinction between M1 and M2. Here, the important point is that the money stock for the US economy includes not just currency but also deposit in banks and other financial institutions that can be readily accessed and used to buy goods and services.